Welcome back. We're being joined in the program by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and I'm sure you understand why. Mr. Nantawa Yilwatda joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Welcome, Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
There's a lot to chew on. I'm happy we have you. But I think it's also natural for us to piggyback on the things we've been talking about. For us and for every Nigerian, it's been a sad weekend to see people who are just trying to get by for the reasons that are obvious now and no more. And the death toll, we understand, is around 50 or 60 persons, including minors who have gone to just get food or handouts or something. So it's being blamed on the administration you serve, partly because of the level of hardship that the policies of government has brought on the people. Just people are now just scrambling anyhow. That's on one hand. On the other hand, it has to do with organizations and all of that. Maybe your first intervention on this one.
First, I want to sympathize with the families and the entire country for the life of the loved one that we lost, especially the family of the loved ones and their relatives. As a government, we are so depressed by what happened. Mark, as we talk about the empathy that we have to also talk about the safety measures that are supposed to be taken at such moments. Mark, we distribute food more than any other organization, and you will never hear a stampede where NEMA or our ministry distributing foodstuff in larger quantity, much more than what these people are distributing. But we've never had a hazard in any of our distribution. And we even distribute in more harsher conditions. People that are more desperate in IDP camps where people don't have access to shelter, don't have access to food, and they are even more desperate. So what are the protocols that are involved in such distribution of food? Because there are, even in developed countries where those protocols are not followed. In 2018, in Texas, if you recall, during the food distribution in the church, many lives were lost, and even people were stampeded at the same time. Similar scenarios. And the same thing in France, and the same thing in the holiday food distribution in the US, where people, were gathered. Once you don't really organize an event, when an event is not organized, you easily have this problem that we're having right now, the issue of stampede and loss of lives. So the protocol, I think, is the first major challenge that we're having in this country. And so we have to look at the issue of the protocol. And this stampede happens everywhere, globally, even in developed worlds, where the events are not properly managed. So I think we need to look at the most important, the primary cost of this issue, where events are organized without without following the basic protocol of such event. You can't just throw open a distribution of food and say, come and your population of like Ibadan, your population of over 2 million people is Ibadan, and then you're throwing open that you want 5,000 people to collect out of 2 million people. That's such a large number. 2 million people, you're selecting 5,000 out of 2 million people, over 2 million people. Or in Abuja, they have population over 2-3 million. You're throwing open food stuff, anybody can come and receive it. You're picking maybe 2,000 people out of 3 million people. The ratio is too small, and the pressure you're going to have. And moreover, you know that the social media is open to more advert. People now, you put this advert on social media, anybody can come and receive it. It's open to everybody. Thousands of people may naturally come. But when you organize the event and you say there's a registration point, people register. You select the people that are going to benefit from it. So you have beneficiaries list. You can either put distribution point if there are too many. So you arrange for police presence. You arrange, you do a vulnerability check. You do the risk assessment of where you're going to have this event. This will prevent the crisis and stampede that we're having in most locations we're having right now. So I think these are major steps that we need to take as government and as people, as individuals, as churches, as organizations that have good intention, but having poorly managed events.
I know the president, the vice president,
yes,
members of government, even you
yes,
as I said earlier on, put out a statement about this. The president canceled his social events and all of that.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we'll talk about the context, because context of all of this is very important.
Yes.
The economic context, and you sit on a ministry that is vital to that. But still on these issues, what is the policy decision that has now been made? Because I imagine the government has sat and said, this happened in Ibadan.
Yeah.
It happened in Anambra, happened in the FCT again. So clearly there's a trend that we need to stop. We need to stop the next disaster from happening.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid, it may be even bigger or worse if something is not done. So is there a policy decision from government saying, moving forward now, this is what must be done if events like this want to be organized? Or is that something that is still in the works? Because we need to know, so we are sure that another disaster, hopefully not a bigger one, will not happen.
I think the most important thing here is for us to adopt, for state governments, domesticate these protocols. These protocols are at the national level. We need to get these protocols also domesticated at the state level, even at local government level, so they will make these laws, because events are organized at local government level, at state level, and at the national level we have minimal events that we control really, that the federal government controls. Most events are at the level of state government and local government level. So these protocols need to be adopted by this level of governments, and that's number one. Number two, there are already protocols by the police on for events to be organized, and I think this is where we need to enforce those protocols at the level of the police coming in and registering, and sometimes even penalizing people who don't follow these protocols. So I think these are basically a state and local government issue, that because they host most events, not federal government really.
Yeah, we're going to delve into a lot more. The liberty of having you here, we're going to talk about a lot of national issues, especially that focuses on your ministry. But before we let go of this issue, maybe you highlight for us what these protocols are, because it is important. I'm sure the state government may know, but for the generality of the public themselves, it's important, because anything that results to loss of life, you can't negotiate on how you have to deal with it. It has to be done right. So when you say protocols or policies, whatever name it is, what are you talking about?
If you're organizing an event, you get the police. If we're organizing food distribution or anything, first we write to the police and inform the security agencies that we're going to be in this location. We're expecting such a number of crowd. They will list our beneficiaries. They will now pick venues. Together with the police and our organization, will do vulnerability check and do risk assessment of the venue that will be hosting these events. Well, based on the risk assessment, we will now set up the crowd management team. And the crowd management team will now be involved, the security agents will be involved along with our organizations. A day before the crowd start coming, this protocol team will be there first, so that they check in the people. If we discover that the crowd is going to be too much, then maybe the event can be postponed. In
fact, we're showing one of the events of the humanitarian ministry, one of the food sharing, and I think this is how you organize yours. I see this is orderly to a large extent, so maybe you can tie it into what you're saying, just to help people understand what they're seeing.
And then married, Honorable Minister, with
this
the fact
is food distribution
just as you're speaking to them, married with the fact that some people may not have the resources that you have at your disposal to get the police, to get this person. So married, speak to state government as well as individuals who are still intentioned to help.
You see, that's the reason why some of the organizations that may not have the resources, sometimes they come and meet us to assist them. I'll give an example. In Bauchi, this flood that took place in Bauchi, ECOWAS gave us about $400,000 US to procure food and material for Bauchi State and Borno State. What did we do? We discovered that we don't have enough manpower to manage it, so we called in Red Cross. So we asked Red Cross, do the procurement. And we do joint distribution along with Red Cross and our ministry. So it makes it easier for us. First, they're doing the procurement, so it frees us the hiccups of fast-tracking the process of procurement. And so we left the money in the hand of Red Cross. Red Cross managed the whole of the procurement process, the purchase, and the even transportation, the logistics, and everything to Bauchi. Then we did the identification along with SEMA, the state
emergency.
Yes. So we did the identification of all the households that were affected by this crisis, and we grouped them by communities. Then we distributed the food based on the minute communities. We now fragmented the communities into what we call sensory renovation areas to make it smaller, smaller units. So these units, food were distributed to these units. So each unit had their unit leaders, household leaders that were affected, and the household leaders were asked to pick their food at social location. It makes it just easier and smarter. So these are processes that you can easily adopt. So quite okay. People even, sometimes we even engage NGOs, international NGOs, to assist us. So you mustn't distribute this food yourself.
Right. Honorable Minister, so I talked about the context, right? And it's good to see how your ministry, how the government does it. But we have people who just want to give out 10 bags or 10 packs, dozens of packs, hundreds of packs. I imagine that they will not want to. They might not want to come and give the packs. So we won't get missing, all of these trust issues that people have. And it's just within their communities, right? They
identify your beneficiaries.
Exactly. So I'm saying
not everybody, 100 beneficiaries.
Not everybody has to come to you. If you have 10 bags to give, you can give around your area.
Identify the 100 beneficiaries.
Come.
No. Identify your beneficiaries.
Yes.
Who are your beneficiaries?
All right.
Identify them, name them, and also inform them. You must not do a crowd. You must not invite. Okay, you watch our distribution. You don't see crowd. We don't invite crowd for distribution.
Now, this is the heart of the question I was going to ask.
But you see, sometimes most people want to do a public show. So they invite many people. They want to see the crowd around.
Certainly, that is what causes issues.
Gains, sometimes for emotional gains, for public gains, sometimes also to sell the church or the organizational presence.
That is now public. That's no more given. That's something else entirely.
Yes.
But my question, Minister, is this. People are doing this because of the context of the economy we're in. And as I said earlier, your ministry is vital to that. There are a lot of people who have since dropped into poverty level because now the price of the bag of rice is beyond reach. Multidimensional poverty. Talk about petrol, for example, is beyond reach. Rent, beyond reach. And most of their salaries remain the same. Some have even lost their jobs in the context of this. Some have lost their businesses. So that is the reality. And some people go to the extent of describing it as T-pain. And I'm sure that's something you have seen time and again. Even the government has said it's T-gain. But it's now back and forth. So the reality is that there is difficulty for a lot of people. A lot of people are suffering in that sense. So is this government aware of that? Are you trying to speed up the recovery process? Because this is something that is at the heart of the stampedes we're seeing.
I know. I agree with you 100%. And the president has also accepted that fact. If you listen to his speeches, even the 1st October speech, he acknowledged that fact. Then I wasn't in the government yet. I was appointed in November, so I'm just about 48 days 48 days in office now. But mark you, in what the president was so specific, there are policies that he brought in to see if that can ease those challenges. People at the lower end of the pyramid, Number one, he said that we should reach out to 15 million beneficiaries under the conditional cash transfer to help ease the pain of Nigerians who are at the bottom level under our social register. That's household, not individuals. Household, each household, we assume approximately has about 5 people. So if we're targeting 15 million households, it means the president is targeting 75 million Nigerians to be affected by this conditional cash transfer. That's number one.
And how many have you reached so far? Do you have? Because I know it was suspended during the previous minister's period where there was that controversy and all of that. How many have you been able to reach out of those? Because these are the same people.
5 million have been reached so far.
5 million.
But this is the challenge that we had. The new policy of CBN requires that you must have digital identity before you're given any money to help transparency and traceability of any fund that is being made in Nigeria. So we need, for now we have just about 1.4 million people on that register that have digital identity. Most people are reaching out to are people who are not within the banking segment.
Financially inclusive.
Yes, that's financially inclusive. So it was, you open your digital, you just open a digital wallet for them, and then you pay them through the wallet, and then they just have cards to go and withdraw on POS. But with this, the federal, the government now work along with the World Bank. World Bank also saw the need for this, and they intervened. They are providing 3,000 devices for us to help in data capturing. Already we have 1,000 devices, adding to make it 4,000 devices. And we're looking for also possibility of adding additional 4,000 devices next year to make it 8,000 devices. We deploy it across the country and see if we can fast track the process of capturing those 15 million people that the president has directed us to do. So that once we can capture and give them digital identity, geotag them and have location for them also, then traceability of distribution of material will also be improved and enhanced. And also that social register will not just be used by our own agencies alone, but also by the even general public, because we have individuals that want to support. They will have to just come to the register. They will trace them based on their poverty rate. And there's a ranking of poverty based on the social register that we have. People are ranked.
This social register, is it something you can find online, or is exclusive because you want to protect the dignity of the people? How does it work? And how many people are there now? I know you're targeting 15 million.
Yes.
But how many people are on the register?
We have 90 million on the social
register.
Right.
People
households.
People or households?
Okay, households, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Household leaders.
Household leaders, that's one of five. That's what you mean?
Yes, for us, household leaders are women, not men.
Okay.
Because we target women as the household leaders. Because women take care of the children and the vulnerable. Women, you have pregnant women who are also vulnerable. You have also, breastfeeding mothers who are also vulnerable. And sometimes you can have men that have multiple wives. So if you pay a man, he may need to take care of the multiple wives. He may even not take care of one of the wives. So we enroll women as the household leaders.
How much goes to each household?
25,000.
25 a month?
No, 3 times in a year.
Okay, 3 times.
Because it's just to support them. It's a support process. Not as if we are paying them completely, but that's on 5,000 naira in a year to support the vulnerable groups.
So by your record now, based on this electronic or digital capture,
yes,
you have less than 2 million people on that.
Yes,
that you can actually help.
Yes. As it is now.
As it is now.
Because of the suspension, because of the new policy of the central bank. That's why we're fast-tracking the process. We just finished training people that we're deploying against next year to start the data capturing for us, so we can fast-track as much as possible. Mark you, this social register, actually, if it comes to fruition, and we now automate it, it will help not just in there are many organizations that provide this welfare to people. You see, maybe BOA providing rice. You see that providing rice. You see different. You see different organizations providing support. And this same community will be supported by government. This same person beneficiary may have as a conditional cash transfer, may have free fertilizer, will have maybe National Assembly will be supporting him again. So you have one person have multiple. So we have equitable distribution of these scarce resources across the people.
And interesting to hear the work that is being done. And for some, they might say it's just like a drop in the ocean, because clearly the challenges for these people are bigger. And some of them, all they just want is to be able to fend for themselves. So giving them money is good, but what happens to their farms? A lot of them aren't able to go to farms. Pardon me. But I want to get the figures correctly. So you said 1.4 million have the digital identity. Am I correct?
Yes.
I said you've been able to reach out to 5 million so far.
Before the review. October.
Okay.
In October, November.
Okay, good.
Policy.
And then on the database, you said you have 19 million.
19 million.
And the government's plan is to reach out to 15 million households.
So we need to validate the remaining 18 million people. That's a validation now. Okay. No more a fresh data capturing. All we need to do is just give them, because their address are already known, their homes are already known, their names are already known, everything just about them is already known. It's just to now give them digital identity. And the easiest one we can give them is using NIN,
right?
Other NIMC. So once you do that, then you cannot create, e-wallet for them if they don't have, a bank account, or if they have a bank account, you harvest the bank account and add it to that data. Good.
So I know there was a controversy online. Yes. Someone was saying that they were asking them to pay to get that. There's a card, the ATM that they get, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So speak to us about this. When last did you disburse money? When last did these people receive money?
That was November.
November.
Beginning.
And that's the...
No, October. Sorry.
How many people got? Is it the 1.4 or the 5 million that got?
The first batch was 5 million, like I told you. Then, because we have 2 tranches in the year, so we paid 5 million for the first tranche. Then when that new this thing came,
guideline,
we paid only 1.4, and then repeated another 1.4 again. So 1.4 million people have received all the 3 tranches.
Out of the remaining?
Yes, then 5 million have received only, one tranche, okay, which means that the excess of 3.6 million don't have digital identity.
So when you are now going to be paying them, Honorable Minister,
they will now pay them.
Are you going to pay them arrears?
Yes, we pay the arrears, the 2 tranches. Okay. And at the first, this 5 million, this 3.6 million, but the first we're going to capture the digital, so we can balance them.
But we still have 10 million left out of the 15 million that we've not even touched at all.
Yes.
So I don't know whether you responded or whether I missed it. Yes. Is it this register, this digital, what do you call it now?
Social register.
No, not the social register, the
digital identity.
Digital identity.
Yes.
Is this something that anybody can, maybe journalists like us can go and see this record, or I wanted you to respond to that, because people, no matter what you say here, people still doubt that there is, in Nigeria's word, mago, in between, that this money is, people actually go online and say, this money you're sharing, I've never seen anybody in my community say I've received. So people are chopping this money. That is the impression. So how can the public really trust that this is real?
When we start the process of registration next year, we're going to put most of this on social media and on regular media also. But mark you, this is what normally happens in social register. You go to your community, you segment the community into women, youths, and the elders, 3 groups. And you ask the community to define what poverty is in their community, because each community have different definition of poverty.
Oh, really?
Well, yes. What may be poverty for you? Because you have urban poverty and you have rural poverty. And even the community, in the community, maybe in a community that of headers, the number of cows determines your level of
poverty or
otherwise. If you go to some places, it's the harvest that you make in a year that determines whether you're poor or rich. And people who maybe own canoe or fishermen, they have the definition of what poverty is. So poverty is defined in different communities based on the context of the community. So you define what poverty in your community, then you now select people who are the poorest in your community, from the poorest to the richest in your community. The youth select their own, the women will select their own, and the women will select their own. They will aggregate these names together. If you are paying all these 3 as poor, then it means they are truly poor. And then we will now go for verification. The verification will not assess you, because we talk about multidimensional poverty. We will check and see maybe the kind of house you have. Is it a mud house or a concrete building? The roofing type, that shelter now. We'll come back to wash, sanitation in your house. Is it shared? Is it community-based? You don't have at all. Type of water that you have. You define several factors, the multidimensional poverty indices, and then you now rank these people. And that's what we have in the social register, based on this ranking. You now rank people back, you score them, and then you now group them, and you say this from the poorest to the least poorest. So when you're paying, you start paying from the poorest to the least poorest.
Interesting, and this has been very academic as well, because you can't use one size to fit everybody. Poverty, as you said, is defined differently. But pointedly now, what is the target, your target as the minister, in terms of reducing poverty? We know how controversial this ministry has been, and I don't know if you got advice from the previous minister on what to avoid, how to go ahead. I don't know if you got, as they say, blessings or otherwise, because this ministry is a very important one.
Let me just be direct with you that, number one, this conditional, generally, globally, humanitarian problems are not solved by humanitarian solution. You don't. You can't solve humanitarian problem using humanitarian solution. And so this conditional cash transfer and the little money we send across don't solve problem. Number one, we are going to create jobs. And creating jobs, we have agencies under us that create the jobs. Like we have JIP, we have Npower. And I'll give an example. We're changing the model of the Npower. One, you can't create job without reaching out to the private sector and the market. I was in Lagos here in last month, at GAG Motors. We discussed with GAG Motors. We're visiting Innocent Motors, in January. We're asking them, we'll provide accommodation nationwide in 6 locations, across the country. We'll select people that will come for training. You train them for us. Training for, we'll pay for the cost of training, pay for everything. We won't pay for the cost of buying equipment for them, to equip them, to prepare them for the market. But you will train and will certify them. When we certify the people that pass certification, you will now make them your distribution agent of your spare parts, and also your maintenance agent nationwide.
So basically empower them.
Yes.
But here's my question.
So I need to know how to the market.
I need to know how you are keen into this government, and that's why I asked what is the target. Multidimensional poverty at 63% of the population.
Yes.
If you are keen into this government with some of those policies, what is the goal? What do you plan to bring it to? That is what I am asking.
And that's
50%, 40%. 20%. What is the target?
All of us have different tax. For example, my tax is that next I should create 1 million jobs. So my target is that both direct and indirect jobs I should be creating next year should be 1 million jobs. And that's what I'm telling you, that I'm setting up some in agriculture, some in automobile, some in renewable energy. But this time around we said, for us to create real jobs, we must link the unemployed to the market and the private sector. And I give you one example. And so all the programs we're doing next year from agriculture, for example, in agriculture, I'll give one example, in agriculture.
In 30 seconds.
Okay.
We need to have you back. Okay. You can give that example.
Can give that example.
Okay.
30 seconds.
But, in agriculture, we're working with rice millers. The rice millers have outgrowers. The outgrowers do the production and give them. So they supply the seed, they supply the input, and supply everything to them. So we said, instead of giving the fund to the people who hardly can recover it, we can give this fund to the rice mills. The rice mills sign bond with us. They will now create the job for us by bringing more people and distributing their seed, distributing and harvesting this thing. So we can expand. There are people that will have access to this phone in 1,000-fold without us having this issue.
Jeffrey, pardon me. Just 1 second. Are you worried?
Using existing structures.
Pardon me, quickly. Yes. Are you worried you might fall into that same issue that the former minister Betaidu fell into?
I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
I've been in offices before this time. I was an INEC commissioner. I was the investors director. I occupied several positions before this time. Go and check my records.
So, we're literally out of time. You have to come back, Honorable Minister. But I saw that in your budget you have, what do you call it now? Northeast Development Commission. Is that under your ministry?
No.
It's in the budget? It's in the draft bill?
But it's not under my ministry. It's under the regional development.
Okay, I think that should be corrected. It's in your, but it's captured under your ministry. That's what I'm trying to point to you.
Okay.
So that has to be sorted, and the chunk of money is the biggest. So maybe that was a mistake.
Yeah.
All right.
No, we can't take mistakes. It has to be sorted.
It has to be sorted. We don't have so much time anymore. Dr. Nentawe Yilwatda, Honorable Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, disaster management and poverty alleviation.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you so much, sir.
We'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll bring you other leg of the conversation. Join us again.